President Biden has unveiled strict new immigration policies to curb migrant arrivals at the southern border. The plan would cap the number of migrants accepted from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela to 30,000 a month. And those who cross illegally will be sent back to Mexico.
If you're trying to leave Cuba, Nicaragua, or Haiti, or have agreed to begin a journey to America, do not just show up at the border. Stay where you are and apply legally from there.
CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes joins me now for more. So, Nancy, last month alone, border officials reported 233,000 migrant encounters. Does the president view this plan as a long-term solution?
He says it's part of the solution, Elaine, and that it will make for a more orderly and safer bid to come to this country for thousands of people, expanding basically this program that until now had only applied to Venezuelans, to Cubans, to Haitians, to Nicaraguans, basically saying that they need to stay in their home countries and apply online for humanitarian parole and wait until they get a response rather than coming in person. And basically, the threat is if they come in person without going through the proper procedures, then they will be turned away and they won't be able to get back in. What the president argues is that there are hundreds of thousands of people coming from these various countries. When they implemented this program a few months back for Venezuelans, they saw a 90% reduction in the number of Venezuelans that they were apprehending at the border. And so the hope is that now that they're expanding the program, that we won't see the kinds of crushing numbers that we've seen at the border over the past few months.
So as I understand it, Nancy, part of this plan would mean that migrants who try to enter the U.S. without a legal sponsor will be sent back to Mexico, which sounds quite similar to former President Trump's Remain in Mexico policy. And as you know, back in 2021, President Biden was critical of that same policy. Let's listen.
First of all the policies that are underway were not helping at all. Rolling back the policies of Remain in Mexico, sitting on the edge of the Rio Grande in a muddy circumstance with not enough to eat. I make no apologies for that.
So, Nancy, how is the White House responding to critics who say that the administration is changing its tone on immigration policy?
Right. I mean, on one hand, you have President Biden saying he doesn't like Title 42, this program that was put in place during the Trump years to basically eject migrants from coming into the country. On the other hand, this new policy that he's rolling out relies on Title 42 to enable them to turn back anyone who doesn't apply for humanitarian parole from these four countries. And so there are critics who say, look, you're expanding on Title 42. You are only making it worse. What the White House argues is that this has become an increasingly dangerous journey for hundreds of thousands of migrants, that the U.S. system is overwhelmed, that there's a 4-year backlog for asylum requests, some 1.7 million people who are waiting in limbo to find out if their asylum requests are going to be granted. The president argued that the only way to fix some of these problems on a larger scale would be for Congress to pass comprehensive immigration reform and direct more money to deal with these challenges. But that is something that members of Congress have tried and failed many times to do.
Yes, many, many times. Well, looking ahead, Nancy, the president is set to visit El Paso, Texas on Sunday. What more do we know about that visit?
We know it's going to be a pretty short visit, a couple hours at the border in El Paso on Sunday as the president makes his way to Mexico City, where he's going to be meeting with the leaders of Mexico and Canada. This is a president who has been criticized time and time again by Republicans for not having visited the border since he took over as president a couple of years ago. So now he is going ahead and doing it. He was asked why he didn't choose to visit the border sooner. He said it's because he wanted to find out what was going to happen with the fate of Title 42 before he traveled to the border. We know that Title 42, however, is still in some limbo. The Supreme Court has issued a stay, and so at least for now, Title 42 limps along, but the president saw an opportunity to make that quick trip to the border. He says he wants to see what's going on, see what the Border Patrol needs, and then he'll be heading on his way to Mexico City.
All right, Nancy Cordes at the White House for us. Nancy, thank you.
You're welcome.